Phil Jarke, and I was assistant football coach at Fort Branch the last year that they were in existence before we moved out to the new school, Gibson Southern. And I came from Northern Illinois, went to Southern Illinois University and played football there. And I went around. I had a job Northern Illinois up in Kankakee that was teaching grade school, which is not what I wanted to do. And kept looking around, and I saw in the SIU placement bulletin there was a job vacancy for just what I was looking for, physical education and football coach. And I said, that's what I want. So I went to my wife and I said, hey, there's a job opening. You wouldn't mind moving down to southern Indiana on a military base down there, would you? Because it was Fort Branch. That's how much I knew about it at the time. So I came down to this military base down here and got an interview, and they foolishly hired me. And we had some good times. It was an outstanding season. I thought I had died and gone to football heaven coming down here. What were we that year? Football, we were 9-1, 8-2. We didn't win. We didn't lose many games that year, and that was kind of the story as far as Jack Jewell, who was the head coach, was very successful and well liked in the program. That's why they named the stadium out there at Gibson Southern after him. And I remember one of the things that sticks in my mind was the first home football game. The way the team went to the football field, which was at the city park in Fort Branch, was to come out of the locker room, and you were outside on the street, and the team gathered up, and they walked as a unit down the streets of Fort Branch to get to the entry of the Fort Branch Park. And they walked down the main drag that went right into the park there. And when they got to a certain point, they all gathered up, made sure everybody was ready to go, and we all took off in a jog, a run, or whatever you want to call it. And you could hear us coming, all chanting and hooting and hollering, and I'm sure we sent the scared bejesus out of the opposing team coming into the football field, and I was impressed. It really was a neat thing, and I enjoyed the first year immensely, and we went on out to the high school out there at Gibson Southern and continued my coaching out there for a couple more years. So that's my story. That's how it all got started.
I'm Jim Reid. I came here in 68, 69 school year in the middle of the season. I didn't get to see that first year. Jack was the first 11-man football coach that we had. And the next year, my second year, they made me the athletic director. And I enjoyed that job, and I was also coached junior high and football and basketball, and helped coach Holder in baseball. And say those 5.5 years I spent at Fort Branch High School were some of the most fun years I had in coaching and teaching. I had a lot of good years after that too, but it was a small school. It was just everybody knew everybody, and it it was a lot of fun and enjoyable. Let's say I was the athletic director. For my responsibilities were to get the football field ready for each home game, and I had a lot of help with that from a number of people. And I just remember that, like Phil said, the football team was good every year. They I don't remember exactly how many times they won the PAC, but I know they won it 2 or 3 times in the 6 years that Jack was the coach here, and say he was successful coach out at the high school as well. And we had a lot of guys that I still know from those years, and they're here tonight to celebrate the years they had playing football here. It was just a fun time. I later on coached the baseball team the last year at Fort Branch High School. We had a good team, and of course I continued coaching football or baseball at the high school, Gibson Southern, for another 33 years. And very enjoyable. It's a great community to have spent all my teaching and coaching years here. I really enjoyed it, and just a great community. Yeah.
Yeah, I came down for an interview and interviewed with the superintendent and the principal, and Jack Jewell was involved in the interview as well. And being a totally green, new teacher, and things that they tell you in school about, be sure you don't do this, and you got to set an example in the community and everything. And all of a sudden, Jack, out of nowhere, is sitting there, and he goes, "You drink alcohol?" And I looked at him, and I thought, "Oh, now what am I supposed to say?" And I said, "Yeah, I have a beer every once in a while." And he said, "Well, good, because we go out after the ball game and celebrate, and we go. I want you to join in if I hire you for this job." I said, "Oh, well, that sounds like a good idea."
Yeah, Dave was a really good scout. He knew what to look for, and he had no experience. School he went to, graduated from, they didn't have football or anything, but Jack taught him all the things he needed to know, and Dave picked it up pretty quick. Jim Sprinkle was coach, one of the assistants before Phil came here, and Jim was he was full of energy. He was fired up from day one till football season's over, and the kids really enjoyed him. And so, yeah, between Jack and Dave and Jim Sprinkle and Phil, we had, for a small high school, we had some pretty good football coaches. One thing else, talking about, we celebrated after each game, but at the end of the year, the last game of the season, we went on what we call a fishing trip. All the coaches. And all we did was play cards and eat and drink a few things. But we had a great time. Yeah.
Where I came from, I never have heard of a snow day. We didn't, Northern Illinois, we get a lot of snow. I don't ever remember anything about a day off of school because of snow. Well, that first winter that I was here, we had a snow right before Christmas vacation. It was about a foot. Everything came to a standstill. And I get a phone call at home. It was Jack Jewell. And he said, we got a snow day. We're not going to go. He says, we're going to meet at so-and-so's house or whoever's house, might have been his house. And we're going to play cards and such. And that was a new experience for me. And the other experience was, Jar mentioned the fact that scouting, that was one thing I never felt comfortable meeting all of Jack Jewell's expectations on sending me to a game and recording what formation the teams were in and who played where and all the plays they ran and diagram this and have that going. David was really good at that. And so it came to one night playing an away game, and I believe it was South Spencer. And Don Angermeyer was the big running back at the time, and he got injured on the field. Unbeknownst to anybody around, I had a pretty good background in sports medicine. I had been an athletic trainer assistant at SIU and all those things. But we ran onto the field, and Don was laying down there, and I felt up under his shoulder pads, and I could feel that the shoulder was out of socket. Okay. So I told Don, lay still. I put my foot on his. Now these are things that you wouldn't do today because you'd get sued out of your life savings. Put my foot on his chest, took a hold of his arm and pulled slowly because that's the direction that it had dislocated, back and down, and popped it back in. Oh, we proceeded to tape that arm down so he couldn't lift it up anymore. The rest, and he finished the game. After that, Jack came to me and says, "You're not going scouting anymore. You're staying here. I want you on the sidelines all the time." Oh, there's a good story.
Yeah.
There's a good story. I always took my phys ed classes at Fort Branch there. We didn't have any space for outside activity as far as PE was concerned. We had no access to baseball or whatever. So we would go to the park during PE class. I'd get the guys outside there and get them ready to go. And then I'd send them on a jog, pretty much the same route as the football team took to get to the town park. It wasn't that far. And I would ride a bike because I was going to do this 5 times a day. I thought, no, I'm not going to jog down there 5 times a day. And so I came out one day, been doing this a while, and got everybody ready and sent them on a jog to the park. I got on my bike and it had 2 flat tires. I don't know how it happened, but 2 flat tires. So I ended up having to jog that day with the class.
Well, anything else?
No.
Well, we could go on and on, but that's
Yeah.
that's enough. Let somebody else have a chance.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.